Hi, this is Edward with sonsofgod.com, and we're going to give this word another take. First time around, we had some electronic difficulties. The title of this series is going to be Diet is Not a Religion, and I think we could probably all relate to that on some level or another with our perceptions of the health food industry and the fanaticism that exists out there within this arena. Truly, like everything else born of the soul, diet can become a god and a religion, and it very much is so for many. Rather than looking to get into an entire a series of teaching about nutrition as a whole, I'm going to endeavor just to touch on those areas that I believe singularly have the most dynamic effect on our energy, our vibration, and caring for our temple. So we'll move forward here with a few things. Of course, all of you have read in the book of Daniel, of course. Daniel ate the raw foods and the vegetables, and you know, as the story goes, he was very perceptive, very clairvoyant, or whatever term we want to call it. But and he had much greater health than those that did not eat that way. One of the misconceptions in the health-related or vegetarian direction is that what about calcium and what about protein? You're not getting your protein, you're not getting your calcium. And a lot of it is just becoming a little bit more educated. For in the sprouted seeds, nuts, legumes, there's a tremendous amount of protein. And calcium, believe it or not, the worst calcium you can take for your body is that which you get from cow's milk. Rather than contribute to the calcium in your body, it leaches it. There are many natural fruits, vegetables, and sea veggies that are very high in natural occurring calcium that are great for your body. Anyway, don't mean to get distracted with that. Some of the other basic tenets, just to touch on. Ann and I have been in this direction for 22 years. More out of just a pursuit of for truth, and it's become more of a passion of ours. As we began to get into this 22 years ago, we were like pretty much everyone else. We ate what we thought was correct, but we didn't really give it too much thought. And as we began to delve more deeply into it, it became very evident what was going on a very high level within our country, between the FDA and the standards and just the quality. I remember a book I read when I was in junior high school. It was by Upton Sinclair. I'm trying to remember, I think it was called The Jungle. And of course it was a story about the meatpacking industry at the turn of the century, 1900s, and it was rather a gruesome tale. But all of that is so true, and much more so with what is happening globally. And I've made reference to this before, that the earth as we know it is on a course of destruction. And we're not even talking about the destruction from a nuclear war, or that would come from a spiritual plane per se. But the course that mankind is on with respect to the foods and the genetically modifying of the foods and the misinformation that is presented constantly has mankind on a course that will see an incredible rise of disease and sickness because of it. So we'll talk about basically just a few things here. There's a book that we read at the very beginning of our pursuit by Harvey and Marilyn Diamond called Fit for Life. That set the tenor for us as we began to look more deeply into things. And I would recommend that book if you want to get something just to kind of browse over to get more of a basic understanding of the dynamics of foods. You know, for example, I mean, there's so many things that, you know, one example is salt. The perception out there is that salt's not good for you, and it causes hardening of arteries and a number of things. And the truth of the matter is, salt is very, very good for you, but not the salt that we are exposed to here present day, by and large. Because the salt that we're dealing with, the Morton's iodized salt and all of the stuff that you see that's used in the processing industry that is so great for preservatives, what they did, if you go back and study within the last 50 to 60 years, the commercial interests discovered that there was far more financial return if you extracted certain chemicals out of the salt, which they then in turn sold to the munitions industry and made a great deal of money. What was left over is pretty much what we have now, this basic table salt. There's nothing left in it. It has been stripped of anything that was nutritious. And if you partake of salt in its true form, it has at least 200 different ingredients in it. Minerals, nutrients, a tremendous amount. And what that enables the body to do is, as you take the salt in, everything else that's in the salt, all of those various nutrients and minerals and whatnot, work in a synergy that allow the body to use the salt for what is needed, and yet eliminate it and not have it be harmful to your system. But when you take it in an isolated form like we have it now, it's very bad for you. One of the salts that we use is called Celtic sea salt. It's CELTIC, sea salt. And I know that they do sell direct to the public. You can Google it. That's the salt we've used for 15, 16 years. And it's great. The flavors on it are phenomenal. It's harvested from the off the shores of France, and in the old tradition of hundreds of years ago. Anyway, that's just one little deviation. So another thing that you'll discover if you look into the book, Fit for Life, is they talk about food combining. And basically what that is based on is that your body, within your stomach, you have two different digestive enzymes, juices. You have the acidic and you have the alkaline. Some foods are acidic in nature, others are alkaline. Depending upon the type of food you eat, your body will utilize those enzymes to break that food down. If you combine foods like meat and potatoes, classic example, the body will then excrete both digestive enzymes and it ends up canceling it out. So it becomes, the body's not able to break it down, it becomes toxic, and you put on weight, you have flatulence, and there's other health issues. So the whole principle on food combining is one that we followed for 20 years. I would not say that we follow it religiously, but we at least know what we're doing when we make our choices. And so much of what we're talking about now, even in the realm of spirit and walking with God, is if you can come to a point where you can at least be informed, then you can make your own choices and your own decisions, whatever it may be, whether it's your spiritual walk, or it's how you eat, or it's knowing what affects your vibration. What I would like to try and get done in this series, and I don't know how many we will do, 5, 6, 10, 3, I don't know, would be just to give you enough information that you're able to make your own choices and decisions. As far as I'm concerned, food is just it's something that we have to sustain our bodies, and I know that in the same breath that the Lord has given us these physical temples, the housing of our spirit and the Spirit of the Lord. So we want to take care of that. So let's see what else we can talk about here. I think what we'd want to do here is talk about just one basic principle here today, and that would be concerning water. And with saying that, I'm going to have myself a drink of water. It's interesting that, you know, since we've grown up, they've always say, well, drink your 8 glasses of water, or your 6 glasses of water, or whatever. I know that for Ann and I, we really weren't that drawn to drinking water. And, you know, we always would drink teas or juices or whatnot, and we figured that we were getting hydrated. And it was only in the last several years that we came to realize that we were not getting hydrated. And that came as we began to really look into the quality of water and the types of water and what's available and all the latest buzzwords and where is the truth behind it for us. But as far as an item that would singularly affect your vibration as well as affect your health and your ability to lose weight would be in drinking water. So in saying that, basically, in theory, what water is supposed to do is as you drink it, it cleanses you, washes out the toxins, and that in theory is what water does. It's a cleansing agent, and it helps you to get rid of toxins. It helps the liver, whatnot. So, but what is not really explained is that the water that we have today, even the bottled water, is not the quality of the water they had hundreds of years ago. Because of everything that's in the atmosphere and in the soils, by the time the water reaches us from the high Alps, the mountains, wherever it comes from, it literally changes at a molecular level. And in so doing, changes the structure or size of the water molecule. And so water still hydrates us, it still cleanses us, but not as efficiently as it could. So what we came across some time back was what's called ionized water. And maybe some of you have read of it. It also goes hand in hand with alkaline water. And we found that some of these machines that do the alkalinization, there's several of them out there from Enagic and Life Ionizer and Jupiter and whatever. They can all tend to be a little bit pricey, but there are some that are less expensive and essentially do the same thing. What we found, though, is that when the water would pass through these machines, the electrical charge that was given to the water helped restructure the water molecule size back to pretty much what it was, I think, hundreds of years ago, or at least where it is when it first reaches the Alps before it starts moving. And that is, the molecular structure of it is small enough that that water is literally able to permeate your cell at the cell level and really detoxify you. So basically what we're talking about here is water helps you to get rid of toxins. So what happens when you get rid of toxins? Your vibration changes, your energy changes, and you become much more perceptive. It's like facilitating the liver, and the function of the liver is in cleansing the body of toxins. So the level of toxicity that we live in within our physical body has a significant bearing on our day-to-day spiritual awareness, perhaps more than we've realized. So going back to this water, basically what it does is it restructures the molecules so that it's able to actually penetrate you at the cell level, so that the toxicity that's within your body at the cell level is able to be washed out. Now, and that basically is the bottom line. In the process of doing that, the process also alkalines the water, brings it up to 8.5, 9.95. And so in drinking an alkaline water, where our bodies tend to be really more acidic because of the stress, the atmosphere, and just our diet, the alkaline water helps to offset that and bring us more and more into a state of alkaline or balance, which we're not by and large. So singularly, that would be one of the very best things you could do. And what is interesting is when you drink this water, it not only tastes good, and I never really loved the taste of water, but it's very filling. And you find that your cravings change just by becoming hydrated. And we've read a number of books that talk about essentially that America as a whole, Americans as a whole, are dehydrated. They literally are dehydrated. They're all walking around drinking coffee, sodas, which are really bad for you. Sodas, coffee, not so good. But because they don't really drink enough water, they really are in a state of dehydration. And that really creates more and more of an atmosphere or climate for disease within your body. So I would recommend, if you are not in a position to buy a machine or make payments and get a machine, Whole Foods and natural food markets have alkaline water, 995 water. And I know it's been microclustered. So that would be something to consider looking into. As far as the amount of water, typically you drink half of your body weight per day. So it really takes a focus and a discipline to do that. But I know that for Ann and I, we have noticed we've noticed a lot of changes as far as how it assists our body, cleanses us, and definitely helps our vibration and our energy. So I would strongly recommend that you would look into that. So basically what we're talking about here tonight is there's a book that you can pick up if you want to skim through it just for the basic principles. You know, we're talking about the principles of food combining, a little bit about salt, and of course the situation about water. Sugar is another big situation out there that has been very much controlled by the lobbyists in Washington, D.C. So that would be something that we probably should delve into on the next video, would be to talk a little bit more about sugars. And you know, what's interesting, one last comment here, is that fasting is a very interesting thing. Fasting can be very difficult to do. It takes a discipline and a real drive. But it's interesting that how many people, when you go into a fast, even if it's just for a day, 3 days, whatever that state may be, how quickly the body can respond. And you know, granted, you might go through what's called a healing crisis, where your body is definitely detoxifying and eliminating, you know, poisons and stuff. But the flip side to that is your vibration goes up and you become more sensitive. And that's what I find very, very interesting, and that really has been our pursuit. And it's not to say that we didn't live in various tangents in these last 22 years. We had a long time that we were vegetarians, then vegan vegetarians, and still for the most part I would say that we're kind of vegan vegetarians. So what does that mean? Well, I found that when I got rid of anything related to milk, as far as cow's milk, the last bit of allergies we had, just gone. The only thing that we do is goat milk is a different dynamic. My daughter knows more about that, but it actually is good for you to a certain degree. So we'll have a little goat cheese. We won't have any goat milk. We'll have a little goat cheese. We'll have a little fish. And otherwise, we really focus on a lot of the superfoods, coconut, and different things like that. So one of these videos, we'll just talk about the various superfoods that are going on. Because every morning for us, we start our morning blending up an energy drink, and that really is our breakfast. You know, from everything, we'll get what's called a young Thai coconut, if you've seen them in the market, and you open them up, and they're full of this incredible coconut milk or juice. Very, very good for you. We'll pour that in, and we'll scrape out the coconut, which is still very, very pliable and soft. We'll put that in there along with a banana, maybe an orange, maybe some carrot juice. We'll throw in some dates. We'll put in some chia seeds, spelled C-H-I-A, very high in protein, very good for you. We'll throw in maybe some frozen fruit to kind of give it a bit of a smoothie texture. And then we put our superfoods, green powder, which there are various versions out there that you can get. And we'll put one of those in there, we blend that up, and that's our breakfast every morning along with some tea. And we'll talk to you about some of the tea that we drink and some of the benefits of that. But I think this is probably good for right now, and we'll follow up here in the next day or two, and hopefully we'll get this whole series up within a week or 10 days. Thank you. Bye-bye now.